Welcome back to this week's episode of Success Through Connection. I'm your host, Zelda. And don't forget, for this episode, I want you to make sure you comment and you subscribe. So today we're going to do a deep dive into the art of making real, lasting love connections with Gwen Washington. So if you've ever wondered, how do you flirt without feeling silly? Or how do you choose the right partner? What do you do to keep the spark alive in your relationship? You're in the right place today because I want you to get ready for some real talk on love, dating, flirting, and building those relationships so that they will actually last. So this week I have our expert, Gwen Washington, and she has her degrees in both psychology and in counseling. She has specialized, she is a certified trauma specialist with a focus on sexual trauma and PTSD. She brings over a decade of experience working with families, couples, and singles, and her expertise has helped thousands of families break through their barriers to build confidence and to rediscover their passion and pleasure and with deep emotional connections to their love life. And beyond her work, she's a hopeless romantic. Well, I would think so. Welcome, Gwen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Zelda. I'm really excited to be here.
Me too. We had an earlier talk. I met Gwen via the internet. So that was our connection, was through LinkedIn. And she intrigued me. And I thought, well, we don't usually talk about our personal love life. But after all, we are about relationships and connections. And let's face it, that's a connection, our love life. So we're going to dive right in. I've got a bunch of questions, and so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
We'll have some fun today anyway. So the first thing I wanted to know is, what do you think is the best place these days to meet authentic, relationship-minded people?
Places that you like yourself. So I think a number one place, which people laugh at me for this, but I would say, especially with business-minded people or people that are entrepreneurs or in the corporate world, conferences are a great way to meet people. People are there to meet people, right? So it's not, like, why are you talking to me? You're not going to get that. It's not as creepy as meeting somebody randomly at a bar. Not that bars are creepy, but there's no expectation. So you don't know if they want to get to know you for business. They want to get to know you. Maybe you have a friendship connection, or maybe you actually will have a romantic connection. So it's a clean slate. You already know you have something in common. Yeah. It could be a business conference. It could be something you just are interested in. It could be a festival, an art conference, a wine festival. But it should be around something that you enjoy, and people are passionate about things that they like. So everybody's in a good mood. So that's probably my number one place to meet people.
That's a great. In fact, one of the things I teach people is when you're going to an event, especially if there's going to be a speaker, is to find out something about the speaker so that you can make comments about the speaker and you can ask a question. A lot of times when you're meeting someone for the first time, you don't want to say, well, what do you do? Especially if you're at a conference. We know you're in that conference for a reason. But you could say, have you heard of this speaker before? What brought you? What do you know about the speaker? So you can get them talking, not a yes or no, but it's a, what do you know about the speaker? Have you heard him before? What do you know? So there's all kinds of lines that you can use to open up a great conversation at a conference. That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So when you're out there and you find somebody that is kind of interesting or there's a spark, how do you flirt confidently so that you don't feel or look ridiculous? But it's like you lock eyes. I mean, I would be afraid to even lock eyes with somebody. So.
That's a great question. I feel like there's two answers depending on the gender. So ladies first, I always say, ladies lead with confidence, and we have a tendency when we're really excited to talk a lot. I talk for a living, so as my fiance reminds me, I talk way too much. And he's like, you need to stop talking. I'm like, okay. But that's part of my job, so I'm ingrained in that. But we really do have to learn as women to pull it back. And what I mean by that is don't share too much. So leave a little bit of a mystery. If somebody asks what you do, let's say you're a nurse, you're like, oh, I'm a nurse. I've been in the medical field for blah, blah, blah. I really love it. And leave it at that. Don't don't share your life story, how you became a nurse and a bad day, good, like they just met you probably 20 minutes ago. So for women, like I said, less is more. Our body language is very key. So if you do like someone as a woman, start to move towards that person or even lean in. As the conversation keeps going, maybe you can touch their hand or their wrist, depending on your comfort level. But when we like people, we normally move towards them rather than away. So we often don't think about that. And it's really important because guys have to know the signals. And if they're looking at you and you're, turned away, your body's the opposite way, you're looking all around, you're not clearly looking at them, they're going to think you're not interested. And that conversation is going to go completely different. For gentlemen in particular, I always tell them to lead with humor. The funny guys get the girl, as I say. It's not necessarily the tallest and most handsome guy. If you can make a girl laugh, then she's going to feel more comfortable. She's going to open up. She's going to want to know more about you. It's like an open door when you're able to do that. So lead with humor for gentlemen. Also try to express what you're looking for, what you're out for that evening. Mention something again if you met at a conference or something that you have as a connection. If you're meeting in like a bar or a cafe, talk about, hey, have you been here? Are you new to the city? What are your places to go? People love to talk about themselves and they love to talk about food. I always say food and sex are the two things people talk about the most or want. That's pretty much how our brains are. For gentlemen, definitely have confidence. Make sure to make her laugh. Look her in the eye. Don't give her Dexter eyes where you're just staring at someone intently and not communicating, and think that you already have the girl. So that should put your mind at ease.
That makes total sense because, when you listen to people say, well, what kind of guy do you want or girl? They always say, I want somebody with a sense of humor. So there you go. You put it out there at the very beginning. So let's say you're on that first date. What are some mistakes that you see people make on the first date? And I just know for me, one of the things I don't want people to do is I don't date really anymore. But when I did date, it was, please don't make me feel like I'm filling out an application.
Yeah.
So what are some mistakes that you see?
That's a great
sign. That one.
Yes. I'll start at the very beginning. So I've seen people say, I have a date. I'm like, that's what you're wearing? So we have to put some effort, You wouldn't go to work like a slut. Like you wouldn't just wake up in sweats and be like, I'm going to work. So put some care into yourself and your appearance because you want someone, to say, oh, you look nice, especially for women. For men, work on those grooming habits. Honestly, like I've seen so many men with bad, like no haircuts, no grooming techniques. Like that is the easiest and cheapest way where you can look presentable. I'm really into gender roles and kind of traditional roles itself for dating. So I know a lot of people like, oh, we don't pick people up anymore. The guy doesn't like pull up and pick her up from home. Send an Uber, depending on where you are. Like you can ask, like, do you need
they don't pick them up anymore?
No. It's like, can you meet me here?
Well, if it's a first date, I can understand meeting somebody somewhere, but
you can always offer. I've had that offer to me, like, hey, where are you? Do you need a ride to the place we're going? Or do you want me to get an Uber for you? I can send an Uber. And that way I don't have to go anywhere. And there's no pressure because you're taking them to the date. You're not going back to their place. So a lot of people are thinking, oh, the person's going to pressure me to come back to my place. If they're picking you up or having a ride there, they know you're on time. They know you're serious. They know you're coming because they have to get you. So those are really key things, I think, for the first date. And just relax. Like you said, it's not a business interview. It's not a job interview. Get to know someone and their hobbies and like what they like to do. And really important on the first date, I think, for anybody over 30, male or female, ask like, hey, do you want children? Do you have children? Do you want to get married one day?
On a first date?
First date. Because if you are like, hey, I want to have children... and you don't ask that and you date somebody for 3, 4, 5 dates, people are busy. That could be 3 months down the line.
Oh, I can see it on a second or a third
Yeah.
date, but on a first date, that's what always makes you feel like you're in a job interview or you're in a marriage.
No. I think a lot of people, especially, like I said, people who are really intent on, I have a lot of clients who want to get married and have kids.
Right.
And they've been in those situations where, like, I really like this person. They developed feelings for the person. They've hung out. They've had many dates. And then they realize, oh, this person doesn't even like the look.
Okay, well, after many dates, you should know by now. I was just
So,
first date. Let's just talk about some hobbies and see if we have.
you can talk about hobbies, but letting someone know this is your intent. You're not saying, I want to marry you. I need to have kids in 6 years. You're just saying, I like a traditional relationship. I hope to get married one day and have children. Great. Okay. If that person is like, I hate marriage, probably this is going to be a first date and done, and that's okay too.
Yes.
But you at least want to know, do you have that same value of the relationship that you have in mind? Doesn't mean that person is going to be the person for that relationship.
So how, when you're meeting somebody for the first time, do you know if there is a connection? They could, you're at a party or an event or something, and they're pleasant enough to you, and you might want to ask them out, or you might want them to ask you out. What are some of those signs that you can give, or that they give you, that there's an interest?
Gut feeling. Gut feeling is number one. We can't fake that. So obviously, when you meet somebody, every person I would believe in the planet has met someone and they're like, I just can't get this person out of my brain. I have that, not necessarily nerves, but like there's something about them that I really want to get to know more about that person. And I truly believe if you don't have that, we're human beings are made up of chemicals. There's a reason for that. So I feel that's really key, is kind of listen to your body, listen to like your instincts and like, what do I feel around this person? Also, just understanding that it may take time. So a lot of times the first date, you might have that feeling, but the person is really shy. They're not talking that much. But then you go out the second time and they're talking, they're more open. It could be the environment. If you're in a noisy bar or something, restaurant, you're overloaded with stimulation versus maybe a different location, or you go for a walk or you go to an art gallery. It's much low key and can get to know the person. So I think it's really important where you have to listen to your feelings. And as women, I think we know when this isn't going to work.
When it's not going to work, it's not going to work. But I always remembered my aunt telling me, you have to go out with somebody 3 times. On the first time, we're all faking it, or we're not faking it, but we're not comfortable because you don't know the person. Second date, you're getting there a little better. On the third date, they've let your guards down a lot more, and you can determine then this is going to move forward or this is not.
Yeah. And also this started too during the pandemic because a lot of people were doing virtual dating, which I encourage people to still do, meaning meet somebody in person. I'm not saying not to do that, but let's say you have a very busy schedule and you can't get another date for a week or even 2 weeks. I had a client where the person was traveling a lot and they're like, look, we just can't get together right away. And I'm like, do you both have iPhones? And they're like, yeah. I was like, do FaceTime for 20 minutes. 20 minutes conversation with someone you don't know consistently, you're going to have a connection. Or you're going to go, yeah, this is awkward. This isn't getting any better. All right, this is not going to work. So those counts as dates if you are able to see the person and talk to them for at least 20 minutes. Because 20 minutes on a Zoom call, FaceTime, where there's no other distractions. And I hate to say it, if you're in your home or your home element, they can see you how you really live, which is very important. Whether you're messy, do you have kids? Is there a dog? What does your home look like? Like all the things that make you is really important. So I think that's something that you can add, even if you can't get to that second or third date, next week. But it's that communication.
How would you tell a guy, I'm just thinking men have so much pressure on them in the traditional sense, they have to be the one to ask.
Yeah.
And I think still most women would want it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just can only imagine the pressure that is on them because nobody likes rejection.
Yeah.
So what are some advice that you could give men when there's a woman, she seems interesting, you'd like to get to know her, you'd like to ask her out. What are some of the ways that to take the pressure off of them to ask her out?
Yeah, a lot of times I'll tell people, like, first of all, realize, especially men, you're going to get rejected. So if you ask 10 girls in a day, at least 8 of them are going to say, no, get out of here. I don't like you. Where did you get that from? And 2 will probably say,
He's going out with you.
right. And 2 will probably say yes. And 1 will definitely go out with you. And I was like, why didn't you ask me sooner? So I work with a lot of men who just, God bless their heart, but they may not have the social cues to understand when someone likes them or when someone's not interested. So I always tell them, compliment the person, get to know them a little bit, and then ask them to something low key and see how they'll react. If there's an event, yeah. So like, there's a farmer's market thing going on this weekend. Like, would you like to go to that? And if they're like, no, then you probably don't want to ask them out on a formal date. So ask them something that's low key, that's either an event or something established in your town that you're already planning to go, and see their response. And then that way it gives you time to prepare to get to know them a little bit because they're a complete stranger. And then if they show up, then you can formally ask them on a formal date and plan that later.
You could even say, maybe, would you like to meet there? And then
just make it low key.
Go have lunch or whatever.
It's fine. Group events are fine. If you're like, hey, I'm going to this thing, my friends are going to be there. I had a gentleman go, oh, I'm going to this salsa event, and I go with a couple of buddies of mine. Would you like to go? So like that way you can bring a friend too. It's low key. If you show up with your friend, I have my friend. We're just individuals hanging out, enjoying the night.
Let's talk about those friends for a minute. How do you stay out of the friend zone?
Sexual attraction. You have to have sexual attraction. Half of my work is dating. The other half is helping people with their sexual lives because of the fact that otherwise you end, right? And our friendships are great, but I hope you're not sleeping with your friends. Like that's a different kind of relationship. But you have to have that sexual attraction. I would say early on, you should be able to tell the cues that somebody is sexually interested in you. It doesn't end, which is they want to spend time with just you. So if you meet a group, they're trying to talk to just you. They're trying to get you into another location to just hang out with you, have that deep, and they're flirting with you.
So how do you know if someone's really emotional, available, or are they just playing a part?
You have to ask them, and
how do
you have to ask people what they want and give them time to show you their actions. So I always tell people, talk is cheap, but their actions are golden. So for women, the easiest way to do this is ask a gentleman to do something for you, and it doesn't have to be monetary. Everybody needs help with something.
I can't asking somebody for a monetary.
Yeah. It's not monetary, but everyone needs help with something. And a lot of
women would ask a technology question. And if the guy doesn't say go to YouTube,
but a guy who cares about you is going to want to help you because he wants to spend more time with you to get to know you further. And he's going to feel appreciated because he finally got to help you. And he's like, oh, she's thinking about me. I'm probably going to be a priority in her life. So asking somebody, it's funny. Oh, I have this thing in my house. I need help with this. Okay, he should be able to help you. I've never had a scenario where if I needed help with something and I asked a guy, he was like, good luck. And if he did, we probably didn't date and didn't go any further.
No. How do you recommend people set boundaries early on without scaring someone off?
It's the way that you say what your boundary is. So I hope you have boundaries, first of all. But one common boundary that you should have, that you should definitely talk about, is ask someone how they like to communicate. What's the best form of communication? You don't know the other person. Everybody communicates differently. Some people love a phone call. Some people love little text messages throughout the day. Some people are like, I'm a morning person, I'm an evening person, or I really enjoy, virtual calls. You have to ask someone how you like to communicate, and then you have to ask them how often you want that type of communication, and then state how you want to be communicated. So I really love phone calls. I actually prefer a phone call at the end of the day to kind of check up and be like, hey, how's it going? I don't really enjoy somebody texting me throughout the day. It kind of annoys me. I think most people are like that. But I would say that. I would say, hey, I don't mind if you text me, but I may not be able to get back to you right away. Please don't take offense to that. But I would love a call at the end of the day. And then stick with that. Don't say that and then do the opposite.
So if somebody has been out of the dating scene for a while, how do you recommend they get back into it after this long time of not being in it?
Yeah, I would say the first thing first is write down what you want in the person you would like to be with. And also things that are your like, heck no. So kind of your red flags, but your green flags. Like I want somebody kind, funny, someone who likes animals, if you have a pet, someone who enjoys these kinds of hobbies. But pick 3 things it's like this person has to have. Those are the top 3 things they have to have for you to be happy in that relationship. And then write down those red flags and be like, this is stuff I do not want. Because some people, yeah, go into the dating world and they don't know what they're looking for and they haven't dated in a while and they're like, I'll just take anybody. And I'm like, that's not how this works. Or they're ignoring the red flags and they're getting hurt again, or they're not able to open up because they're too scared. But definitely make sure that you're emotionally ready to date. Understand, especially when you start dating again, it's supposed to be fun. You may find the love of your life right away, or you may not, but it should be fun. And the moment it's not fun, stop it. Start having fun with yourself and your life in general. People don't want to date people who are unhappy, So many people go into the dating atmosphere and they're like, yeah, I'm okay. And I'm like, are you okay?
They attract the same that you are.
Yes. Deal with your past relationship trauma.
Don't bring up your past relationship.
Don't bring any. No. The only time you should bring up your past relationship is to say, acknowledge what you did. So like, hey, I made mistakes. My ex made mistakes. I acknowledge what I did. Happy for the time together. And I've moved on.
Yeah.
That's how you acknowledge it. You don't need a book about them. You just need to acknowledge what you did and you learned from it. And now you're better.
I went on a date once where the guy wanted to talk about, and it was during COVID. He wanted to talk about the girl he met right before COVID. And I was like, get me out of this place. It's like, I don't want to hear about this girl. What'd you ask me out for? I'm a psychologist,
Oh, yeah. Don't treat your date like your therapist. Just go get a therapist.
Just go get one. That's not me. Now, do you give different advice for different age groups? Like baby boomers. I have a lot of friends who are single and they're looking and they're so selective that it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like, and you should be selective.
Yeah.
But is there different advice for different age groups?
Believe it or not, people have the same problems in the same age groups. Other than age groups, I don't really work with the 20s. So I would say most people have enough technical, acknowledgement of how to text somebody and what's social media and like that kind of concept of things.
Yes.
But the problem's the same because even though time has moved on and we have dating apps and things like that, people still want connection. And it's really about being realistic. So the types of people you've dated, the types of people that you've married, who you're attracted to, and what you probably did wrong. Most people, at least, can acknowledge. Hopefully you're not repeating patterns.
Could be that you didn't do anything wrong. The other person maybe was a narcissist and they did everything.
That's true. Yeah,
nobody's perfect, but
right, no one's perfect. But yeah, there's definitely you played a part in maybe letting, not breaking it off sooner and this is not the right person. Let me get out of this. But I think with the older generation, it's understanding, people are really at points. We're not going to change as we get older. It's really hard to change drastically. So if you meet someone and you're like, this is not the right person for me, but maybe if they did this and this with their personality, that's not going to happen.
People don't think, I can tell you, I'm a baby boomer. I am single. There's no way. I mean, I know that I'm set in my ways, and it's not that I'm stubborn and I can't give and take, but I wouldn't be looking for marriage at this point. I'd be just a companion. It's like you have your place, I have my place, and we get together and do stuff. But other than that, it's like, you're not going to change anybody. They are what they are.
Yeah, I would say with the older generation, somebody asked me this recently, understanding your families, because a lot of people will think, oh, it's probably easier to date somebody with older children or adult children versus little kids. And I'm like, when you start dating somebody with their families, they have older children, maybe even grandchildren, that's a big part of their life. So you're going to have to be integrated into that. And if that family doesn't mesh, it's going to be really hard to move forward.
I agree. I agree. So I would want somebody who has family, who has if they have grandchildren, great, but they have to integrate. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's probably the biggest thing for older people, versus someone who's like maybe 30, never been married, doesn't have kids. They don't have to think of that extra layer. But definitely when there's any kind of family involved, maybe you're taking care of someone, maybe it depends on your family scenario, that's added stress or just another layer to your life that they have to be okay with.
Now, what advice would you give somebody on how they should deal with rejection gracefully and be able to move on in a healthy way?
I don't believe in ghosting. I know we have all experienced, a lot of people have experienced.
I hear about that. Yeah.
Maybe some of us have done it. I don't think I've ever done that to anybody. But I normally tell people, just be honest and say, hey, I had a great time, whatever time that is. It could be a week, could be a month. Obviously, maybe there's a little bit more meat after a month. And just say, I really appreciate it for the time we've had together. And I just feel like this is not going to go in the direction I wanted to go in, or we're very different people. And I wish you the best and, have a great life. Like, that's it. You don't have to give a huge explanation, but be honest.
And don't ghost them.
Be respectful. Yeah. And don't ghost them. And they should say the same thing or go, okay, great, understand, and make it clear. You don't want to be friends. I'm sorry, but it's kind of hard to go from like, I thought I was going to be with you and I'm not, but like, let's hang out next week. So just let them go. And if they come back into your life, great. Maybe it was a timing thing, but odds are they're not coming back. So just let them go and move on.
So if you've been in a committed relationship for any length of time, what advice do you give couples to keep the spark alive?
Yeah, I always tell couples, again, depends on the life stage, but to make your dating life a priority. I've had this happen to me so many times where couples are like, oh, I haven't dated in so long. I'm like, what are you talking about? You should be dating right now. You're dating your spouse. Like the dating process doesn't end when you get married and that's it. So it's not a fairy tale. There's no like closed chapter. You have to date your spouse for the rest of the time that you're married, whether it's the rest of your life or however long your marriage lasts or partnership. So make time, set time every week to have a date night. It doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be, lobster and caviar, but it could be go for a walk, go to the farmer's market, go to a movie. Movies are $7 on Tuesday. I mean, it could be a daytime date if you work from home and your kids are in school. So whatever it is that you can financially and time-wise do, make that a commitment and make that time special. Don't talk about the kids. Don't talk about work. If you can, leave your phone on silent just for 1 hour, like to have that quality time. But that's the biggest thing is to start dating your spouse again, because you have to want to be attracted to them in that manner and kind of build that sexual tension all over again. And most people have not done that.
That was a rule in our house when I was married. It was every Friday night. It was date night. And sometimes we didn't do much of anything. We went to Burger King, it was like, it didn't matter. It was 30 minutes, an hour, whatever we could do, because you have to pay for those babysitters too. And boy, they were expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's to be in the backyard. I don't, it doesn't matter.
But the babysitter's 50,
Yeah. That's what I said. Like someone mentioned this to me. I said, do a daytime date. A lot of people work from home now. So if you can figure, like kids are in school, kids are in summer camp, whatever they're in, you just need an hour to be with each other. And Netflix is not a date. I know we think it's a date.
Yeah, Netflix is not a date, people.
It's not a date. It's an activity to do, but it's not a date.
You're saying get out of the house.
Get out of the house or do something that isn't technically involved. So no screen time, just as we would do with children, no phones, no movie, like no Netflix in front of me, one-on-one, having that connection, talking about anything you want to talk about.
So that's for people who are in a committed relationship.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give someone who keeps choosing the wrong partners?
Oh, wow. Recognize it's you. The problem is you. I always tell people this. I'm like, it's you. It's not, everyone wants to go like, it was my ex. They were horrible. They did this, blah, 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 blah. And that may be true that you might be attracting people who are just not great people or not great people to you. They might be good people to someone else, but just not you. And understand that you are the factor in that. So take a step back. Why are you attracting that type of person? So like if you're consistently attracting people who are not wanting to be in a committed relationship and you want a committed relationship, is there something about your past that's bringing that energy towards you? Is there something you're not telling them? Are you ignoring the fact that you haven't had the conversation? What are we? A lot of people don't have those conversations, especially early on, saying like, hey, are we committed? What does that look like? Do we not talk to other people? Are we not dating other people? And both people have to say that. And if you don't have that conversation, then you're not committed.
No, it reminds me when we spoke previously, we were talking, I can't remember quite the context, but you'll probably remember this. It was, apps seem to be a big thing. I don't know if they still are a big thing for how you meet people. And it was when you were telling me how it's not the apps, it's you.
Yeah. And that's like true for everything.
It's like if you keep asking or being attracted to the same types of people or the same looks on, and they're ghosting you or they're not responding to you or whatever that situation is, it's not necessarily them, it's you. Stop going after that type of person. Go after a different type of person, whatever that could be. Can you explain what we were talking about when we...
Yeah, I mean, there's a trend right now where people are kind of speaking out, or I would say even revolting against apps. There's a lot of dating events right now. There's a lot of single events all across the country and companies popping up. Obviously, my company has done single events now for almost 10 years. So I've seen kind of this shift where people would be like, oh, well, I don't need to go to an event. I can just use an app. And now people are like, I need to go to an event. I don't want the app. And it's the same type of person. So it's people who have not developed confidence. They have not understood that they have to work on themselves. They've not developed flirting skills and the social cues to understand if somebody likes them or not. And all those things are the same problems that they were having on the app, not recognizing, is this person for real? Being direct, hey, I like you, let's go out. Instead, they're talking for 3 months in an app. And then at an event, they're going to 3-4 events a week and not getting a date and going, it's the event. It's not me. It's the event. It's the way that the event is structured. And I'm like, it's not the events. It's you. You have to.
How do they change? What do they do to change that?
Yeah. So recognizing that they have, if they want to actively be a dater, an active dater, it's a numbers game. So you have to meet more people and you actually have to take the initiative to ask people out. So if you're a gentleman, you have to say, hey, I'm here because I'm trying to find whatever I'm trying to find. And I like you. Would you like to go out with me next week? Pick a day. And if the lady says no, find someone else to do this. Just keep doing it. It's...
So you say pick a day, because not necessarily those words, but hey, what day are you available? That way I'm saying, how about Friday? And they go, I'm busy.
Right. But figure out what day that if somebody wants to go out with you, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm free Saturday. If they're not interested, they're not going to make plans with you. So if someone is pulling your chain and they're not giving you a day and a time and you've invited them out, you said you like them and you want to get to know them more, then move on and ask another person.
So here's the thing. Here's a pushback. So you say, if they're not interested, they're just not interested. But sometimes love grows slowly. And so you're not really attracted to them at the very beginning, but go out with them and you know what? They grow on you. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean,
it can happen.
It does happen, but I feel, again...
Or is that just a Hallmark movie?
I feel like it's a Hallmark movie. I'm really going with, most people, when they really like someone and they ended up in a relationship. And a lot of times we're obsessed, especially in American society, of like the length of a relationship. These people have been married for 20, 30 years or et cetera, et cetera, versus you can have a great relationship and it just ends. But every person that has a good relationship has that feeling where they're like, no, I needed to be around this person. And if you don't feel like you have to be around them and you want to get to know more, especially in the very early days, I would say the first 3 months, you should just be chatty catty to each other. And if that's not happening, then there's something not right, like think of your favorite food. If I offered your favorite food, you should jump up and be like,
Yeah, I'm there.
that, right? You're not going to be like, so
That makes sense. That makes
excited
sense.
about someone, then you're going to want to be around them as much as you can and their energy. And our dopamine levels, everything rises when we're kind of in the midst of falling in love and even with lust. And it's almost like an addiction. It's like a drug. So you should have that feeling. And if your body isn't giving that off, it's telling you this could be a friendship, and that's okay too. And sometimes people are friends with someone for a long time and then they have different kinds of feelings later on. But if you're not having that feeling right away, it's definitely not going to be a romantic relationship right off the bat. So
right off the bat, I know one of my nephews, he was interested in this woman. She was always in some other relationship, and he just sort of sat on the sidelines. But boy, when she wasn't with somebody, and it's his perfect match, they're married, have children now, and everything's lovely. It's like my son says, I want a woman like her. I'm like, good luck with that.
And that can happen too. You have somebody else who really isn't enamored by the other person, and it's just not the right time, right? The other person is in other relationships, but she obviously must have felt the same way, but it just wasn't the right time. So you still would have that feeling. It was just like, hey, we can't because I'm doing this. I'm sorry. And then if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
But if you never had those kinds of feelings and no one is running after that person, and I really believe it has to be the guy. Guys are the ones that want to chase. And if they're not doing that, then as women, that's not the guy for you. Like, he should be wanting to help you, call you, talk to you as much as he can. And if he's not, just find someone who's enamored by you. There's someone else out there. It's okay.
Yeah. Take a second look at the girl who's looking at you. That's like,
and don't be so obsessed with, I would say, appearances, and also the cheat sheet, the sheet where it's like, this person, the roster has to have this and this. We're not robots. Like, people aren't built like that. They're going to have a few things that you really want and some other things that you didn't even know you needed.
Yeah.
And then some annoying qualities, because we're all human. So, but no one's going to have all of that. So, we have to, as we get older, we have to kind of let some of that go and go, what are the things that are really necessary that this person has to have? And then the other stuff, it may not be there.
So Gwen, how can people reach you?
Yeah, so I'm all over social media, and my website for my company is called My Love Talk, MYLUVTALK.com. And my Instagram is Love Gigi. I go by Gigi because of my first and middle name. It's an easy way to remember me. But it's Love Coach Gigi. And my Instagram for my business is My Love Talk at Instagram and Facebook. So those are probably the two easiest ways. Just send a message on Instagram and I will send you a link for a consultation.
That sounds awesome. So all the singles that are looking for dates and want to get some great advice, there's your love connection. Well, she's not the connection exactly, but she got the connection to help you get connected to the right one, right?
That's
so
right.
I have one final question. It is my signature question because we are called Success Through Connections. Can you share a story about a time when an opportunity presented itself to you because of a connection that you had?
Yeah, I thought about this the other day. I had gone to a conference in San Francisco. It was like a random weekend. I just booked the trip and I was like, oh, there's a conference this weekend. I'll go. And sat next to a woman, and we're still friends to this day. I'm so very blessed by her friendship. And we started talking. And by the end of that conference, I had met her brother, two people who owned a very successful dating app, thanks to her. And that conference, I'm originally from Chicago, ended up in Chicago. And through that connection, I ended up in that conference. And that was like my first speaking gig the following year. So had I not met her, none of that would have happened. So
Oh, that's great.
I appreciate her friendship and her kindness.
Oh, what a great story. That is awesome. We are totally out of time today. We have gone over, but that's okay. It was totally worth it. So for all those singles and couples looking to reignite that love, that spark, or what have you, this is the show for you. I hope that you will remember to make comments and to subscribe to the channel, Success Through Connections. That is our show for today. And don't forget that success does not happen in isolation. It happens because you've reached out and you've made connections. So keep on reaching out to make those connections. Till next week, I'm Zelda.